Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Pumped up.
I never gets old of that.
Man, it just sounds so good. Like I feel like I'm just drinking the whole time it's playing, and then when it goes, like, oh my god, so good.
It is good.
So good.
Sounds like you want to drink a brisket, right?
It does. Yeah.
I mean, I would drink a brisket at that point.
Right.
I think I've done it before.
Yeah, I think you have too.
Smoking a beer and drinking a brisket. Let's go.
Here we go.
Speaking of smoking alcohol, I mean, John, if you've seen the video on TikTok with John smoking the Blanton's whiskey, that was sent to us by Oklahoma Joe's.
The smoker thingy, yeah.
That's John and Alex. Alex has a nice little fade on that. See that?
Yeah, you got a haircut.
Saw that, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That looks good.
As soon as I saw that TikTok, I was talking to John on the phone, and I let him know I was very disappointed. I did not get the invite for that one. I really wanted to try that.
It's so weird. It's like it's very
bourbon.
just secretive. Like, hey, we're going to do this.
And
it's
that's
just
what I
secret.
said. Y'all should have done like a before and after TikTok. I mean, I think that could have got us a few more 1,000 million followers.
Followers.
Yeah, 1,000 million.
Hey,
No, I'll borrow it from John, and I'll invite you over, Matt, so we can all
I
partake
appreciate
in
that.
a little.
Everybody else can do it.
But
hey.
we do know who the actual hair cutting person will be on the TikTok. Now that we're thinking about it, it's going to be this guy.
What's that?
When we cut it.
when we cut your hair.
No, we ain't cutting my hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. James has been growing. This whole COVID-19 is turned into COVID-19 / COVID-20 / COVID-21. James not cutting his hair anymore.
Right. It's my life force now. So
Right.
right. I lose my energy if I lose my hair.
Rapunzel, right? Okay.
Let your hair down. Huh?
Yeah.
Grab a hold of my hair. I'll fix what ails you.
Right. I love
Sounds
it.
weird.
Let's just right. Let's
Delete all that, John.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Nope. Hey, we have an awesome person on tonight.
Yeah, we got Joe Davidson with Oklahoma Joe's Barbecue Smokers.
Is he kind of a big deal?
I mean,
Like, how do you-
he
kind
is
of a big deal.
Oklahoma
Like,
Joe.
kind of a big
I
deal.
mean,
Yeah. Well, it's OklahomaJoes.com. Everybody has seen it, the pits at Lowe's, Academy,
Right.
Walmart. I mean,
They sell them
Everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
And the line that they've branched out. I mean, doing a little research, trying to figure out a little talking material so we can talk to Joe. I didn't know they had pellet grills,
Oh, yeah.
I know they had a barrel pit.
a barrel pit, a drum smoker.
Yeah.
It's called the Bronco or something like that.
I think so. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It's cool
So
looking.
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's nice.
So, yeah, this guy's coming on. Hopefully, we can just how do we build an empire similar to yours, Joe?
Right.
Wow.
Andy's
And
a-
sustain
You're thinking
it.
a lot bigger than me. I was like, how do we get free Oklahoma Joe pits?
Right.
Like, how do you build something and sustain it? That's the thing too.
Yeah.
Like, you can get somewhere, and then how do you keep
it
up?
I think
You know
it's
what
the
I mean?
right place, the right time. He had a great idea. We'll get into it with him, but
Yeah.
I think it's just hey,
and he's a great cook himself. He's been in over 300 competitions.
that's right.
He's competed and won at Jack Daniels. He's competed and won at Memphis in May, and also at the Royale. So I mean, the dude has the cooking skills,
The resume.
and the ability to manufacture badass pits.
Nice. I like it.
John, do we have him on the brisket line right now?
Not yet. We're working on it.
Okay.
Okay, well,
What would the brisket line, hold line, what would it sound like? Is this what the brisket hold line sounds like?
No, it's just crackling fire.
Is it crackling fire?
No, I was gonna say the grab him in the brisket, but it's just that phrase over and
Over
over
and
and over
over
again.
again.
Grab him in the brisket.
that's what they're
grab
going to
him
play
in the brisket, grab-
when they're interrogating somebody.
I'll talk.
I'll tell you whatever you want.
No more.
Did you grab in the brisket?
Yes, I did. I did. Yeah, I love brisket.
No more.
Right. Yeah.
All right, let's get him on.
Yeah, hey Joe, we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join the Grabbing the Brisket podcast. For the listeners, this is Joe Davidson with Oklahoma Joe's. So I know a lot of people are familiar with the barbecue smokers and familiar with the products that you have out there nowadays. But can we go back to maybe the beginning on how this kind of just started and progressed into where we're at right now?
Absolutely. It's something that I relish the opportunities to talk about the past and the history of barbecue in general, and how it's affected not only my life, but my family's life and so many employees' lives as well.
Yeah, I think, looking back on this, like you really kind of got started in the early 80s, if I'm not mistaken, kind of looking at your the bio that's on your site and whatever else. But that was kind of a weird, like, the 80s were a weird time. Like, there was an oil kind of bust or whatever else, and things were kind of coming back together a little bit. I think that you kind of hitting that just at the right moment or whatever else. Obviously you had an awesome product, right, that it came to market with, but yeah, kind of, what was that like for you?
I will tell you that it was serendipity came into play in many, many ways. I was big time into agriculture. My family's fourth generation ranchers here in Oklahoma, and I wanted to be a rancher, but I really believed that there was no way that at that point in time there was room for me to tag along in the family business and make it a living like I wanted to. And I thought, well, I'll get a degree and be an ag teacher. I thought that'd be great. I loved my ag teacher. He influenced me tremendously. His name was Ray Holman in Okemo, Oklahoma, and had been an ag teacher for decades. And one of those guys that was a storyteller and a guy that just really took interest in young people and helped mentor them and guide them along the way. And he really liked welding, and I really loved welding as well. I took a liking to it and was really good at it, but naturally. But I thought, okay, I'm going to go to college, and a good buddy of mine, Todd Thompson, decided that instead of going to Oklahoma State University, we should go down to East Central, and because we had a lot of friends went down there. That's in Ada, Oklahoma, down in kind of South Oklahoma. And we went down there, and I always like to say I sold enough hogs to go to school for years, but I blew all my money in one semester on some of it on school, and the rest of it I spent wisely on beer and women.
There it is.
At the end of the first semester, I was like, holy cow, I'm out of cash. So I took a job at a bull test station and came to the house, and at the end of that second semester, I was so proud that I had a 0.9 GPA. And that was when you never go to class, it was pretty cool, actually. So at that point in time, my parents said, man, you may not be cut out for college. So I went to a welding school, the Tulsa Welding School. It was part of the pipe fitters welding schools around the state of Oklahoma. I did that and broke out, went to work for John Zink Company, and then I met a young lady at Okemo, Oklahoma as well. And that's how it all happened. I thought then, I'm not going to let her go to Oklahoma State by herself. I've got to go up there. And I continued my education in ag education, but paid my way through that as a welder in the oil field. Nice. And, I loved it. It took me a long time because I was a part-time student and welding full-time. But, man, I loved doing it, and it was fun. And Paige and I, Paige Davidson, my wife, we got married really young. She was 19, I was 20. And by the time she graduated in 3 years, I graduated in like 6 years. And by the time I graduated, I thought to myself, I did my student teaching and went, I've made a critical error. I've got an ag education degree, and I've decided that I really don't like high school students. It was really I thought I've made a strategic error here. So at that point in time, I went in and I said, I'm going to become a college professor, but I'm going to still weld and do this. So I was actually a graduate assistant in the ag engineering department at Oklahoma State and started building smokers then. And that's when the magic started happening. I really was watching. I was studying ag engineering. I was looking at really, really aerial applications of chemicals, rooftop designs, so it was all about airflow and droplets and humidity and hydraulics. And I thought, man, we can put some of this to work in smokers. So that's when I built the first smoker for my dad, and then my brother and myself. And in the meantime, we were all, as young people, we all start cooking, outdoors. My parents, regrettably, they weren't barbecuers and not, at the end of the day, not very good grillers, etc. I thought steaks were always supposed to be gray and burnt. I didn't realize there was anything besides that.
Yeah, well done.
And like a lot of people.
Yeah,
Sure.
But we started having little cook-offs during game days. We lived one block from the stadium, and we would park cars in our yard and get enough money to buy a keg of beer and cook 2 or 3 briskets on a little bullet smoker. And my buddies would do the same thing. And then after the game, we'd come in and eat briskets and have a little competitions, whose was the best. We couldn't pay our phone bill, but we could damn sure have some briskets and a keg of beer, So that was the way it started.
That's
I love
awesome,
it.
man.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to ask a question. Like, so you're talking about, having doing stuff in ag and stuff like that. How readily available was it, when you were coming up and doing that, as far as like cost wise, and was it something that you guys had to put money into at first, or was it, just school wise? You're like, yeah, you know what, we're going to do it because it's readily available, and it's, and we have the drive to do something, to build something. And, how much was it was cost driven? And how much was was just like heart driven?
A passion.
Yeah, like a passion.
And it was passion in the beginning, 100%. There was a place down about 10 miles south of Stillwater called Fraser's down there, and they made ag implements, but they had tons of scrap metal, and they would sell the scrap metal cheap, like 10 cents a pound. So I would go down there and buy plate steel, and then I'd find a piece of pipe, here and there. And then for the trailer models we'd go out to an old salvage yard and buy the front axles out of a 50 Ford truck, and the springs that came with it, and put that underneath the frame we'd build for that. So we really were building smokers that cooked phenomenally well. They weren't that pretty, to be honest with you. It was something that in that day, my favorite thing to use for hinges on doors, on the top doors and the firebox doors, was baler chain, because balers back then were, instead of having belts, they had these huge chains, like a motorcycle chain, except imagine something that's 3/4 of an inch wide. I'd use that for the hinges on these doors. They're still those old smokers still have those same chains on there, and they're tougher than boot leather and last forever. But we did things on the cheap and very functional, but not from aesthetically the most beautiful thing in the world in the beginning.
Well, they're pretty beautiful now.
Yeah. I mean, like I can just imagine, like, to go where you come from, right? A guy that had 10 or 12 barbecue pits and sold them, and then to go where you are now. Like, did you ever think that you would be the guy that started this whole thing? That, I mean, you sell hundreds of thousands of barbecue pits. I mean, it's so. I mean, I'm not. It can be more than. I'm not sure how many you sell in a year or whatever, but it's
all of them.
It's crazy. You're worldwide. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, let me tell you, at first it was. Eventually, once I sold one to one professor and another professor, I told Paige, I said, I think there's a market for these smokers. So the first year I saved up $2,000, built 12 cookers, went to the State Fair of Oklahoma, and I had a spot, and I went out, cut down a bunch of big oak logs that were about 12 foot tall, and I built a frame around that. And I was building smokers and deer stands. I'm an avid deer hunter. So I thought, man, these deer stands are the coolest things ever. And the smokers, we'd be out there and cooking and have them fired up. And no one had ever seen that at the fairgrounds before, at least in Oklahoma. And so it drew so much attention. I remember I was set up over here cooking barbecue, drinking beer, and just across the road from me was a Christian radio station's stage, and that's where Amy Grant was playing back then.
Nice.
That was how that was. She was at the state fairgrounds, and I was at the state fairgrounds, and it was awesome. The only thing that was a blow to my ego back then, I did sell all 12 of those the first weekend. When the fair was over, had orders for 108 more cookers. And I was building these things in my garage, keep in mind. So I was going, holy cow.
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
But the deer stands weren't quite the same. I was selling a few of them until a lady came up and said, that's the best idea I've ever seen in my life. And I said, well, ma'am, I said, these deer stands like this that you hang on a tree have been around a while. She said, what do you mean deer stand? I said, this is a deer stand. You crawl up in this and you sit on there and you deer hunt. She says, well, I thought that was for putting potted plants on your trees outside there. So I should have listened to her and started making potted plant holders on the side of trees at the time. But that kind of that was a kind of an epic fail on the deer stand side, but the smokers turned out to be okay.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome.
Hey, it takes a little. I mean, of course, the imagination and whatever you're going through, and say, look, I'm going to put this together and see what happens. Right? It's a gamble. Hey, if I sell one, I sell one. If I sell, 20 of these, and hey, well, that's your thought process. Did you think you were going to sell all of them? I mean, really, or get 108 more orders or anything like that? I mean, that had to be like, what am I going to do? It's almost like that oh shit moment,
I think that the State Fair of Oklahoma was an eye-opening experience. So much so that instead of wanting to become a college professor at Oklahoma State, which would have been a fabulous career and would have loved doing that, I made the decision to start building smokers as a career. And my philosophy was the same then as it is now. And that's that if someone's going to be the best in the world, why can't it be us? I really believe that that's what America's about. That Oklahoma's about that. We've all got the opportunity to be the very best in the world if you're willing to work hard enough to accomplish your goals. So that was really it. Even though it sounds cliche now, that was my thought then, and it still is now.
I agree. I agree. I think America's about that. I know here in Texas we're definitely about that. But yeah, I guess from my point of view, looking at it, you look at life and you're like, man, I want to be like. There's so many people out there right now that would like. That's their dream. Their dream is to like build a smoker and have them sell. We talked to, we had a guy on the other day, the guy from Cotton Gin Smokers. That you've seen him, Matt. He is starting the Cotton Gin Smokers out of the back of his house or whatever else, and he's just a guy trying to get 10 of them out or 100 of them out the door in a year or something. That was his. What was his 1 year goal? Sell
something like that.
10 or 20 of them or something. So. It's very cool to be speaking with somebody like you you were there and you built this, so.
Absolutely. And it's something that I will tell you, there's always going to be someone that's bigger and more rich, etc. But there's one thing that no one can have over on you, and that's the willingness to work harder than anyone else. If you're willing to do that no one can beat you.
Yep.
I love that. And Joe, hey, we're huge competition people around here in Texas, and doing a little research. You are a one of the most winningest people that I know. Just speaking with, you've won a lot of competitions. You've competed at pretty much all the big ones. Did that come about to promote the smokers, or how did the whole competition and cooking type deal go for you?
I started competition the same year that I introduced the smokers, and my thought always was that, man, if I'm gonna sell smokers, I damn sure better get good at cooking, because I was okay, but I wasn't great at it, and it didn't happen overnight. I went to my first cook-off, which was the T-Town Barbecue Cook-Off. It's part of Mayfest, and I don't mean to be a name dropper, but this particular time, I think Allison Krause was like 16, and she was playing down in Main Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Nice.
And I was like, holy cow, she's wonderful. Listen, the voice is like an angel, But we were doing a competition. I won a 3rd place in brisket and a 5th place in poultry. And you would have thought I won a world championship with all the hooting and hollering. And the thing that was so unique about it was that, first of all, it's competition. And who doesn't like competition? It's something that we want to go kick someone's ass. That's what it boils down to. And to get to cook barbecue, you can have your family there with you. There's not hardly a team sport that is really a family event either. Barbecue is that. And then combine that with getting to drink beer all night long and just have a hell of a good time. That got my attention, especially when you're 25 years old. It was spectacular. And that hooked me on competitions. And I've continued to work on my craft and knew that I kept wanting to get the best teams in the world cooking on Oklahoma Joe smokers. And I will tell you, by the time we got to, the early 90s, pretty much every world championship team was cooking on Oklahoma Joe's trailer smoker, including us. And that was the thing to have. And those things that we built back then, they're still running today. And I believe that they've become quite a collector's item at this point in time, those original units that were made in Oklahoma. Because they'll last forever. That was our thing. I always said that they've got a lifetime guarantee if you die when you ought to.
Right. Heck yeah.
That is awesome.
And really, some of our best dealers were down in Texas. I mean, I had dealers all over the state of Texas, so I spent a lot of time delivering smoker loads on my truck and trailer down to Texas.
I love that. What was your favorite and what was your worst competition meat to cook?
Everything we did pretty much was part of the Kansas City Barbecue Society. So, the 4 core categories would have been chicken, ribs, brisket, and pork butts. And back in the early days, we had these fun little ancillary categories of sausage, lamb, and things like that, the American roll, and hot wings as well. So I would have to say, and then they had the anything but barbecue, beans and potatoes and vegetables.
Right.
But, honest to goodness, I loved cooking them all. That to me, the hardest thing to cook really was chicken, man, to make it perfect. My philosophy has always been if it's tough before you cook it, it's low and slow. That's the way you make it tender and perfect. If it's already tender before you ever cook it, man, you better cook it hard and fast. And that way you don't never dry it out. And chicken is tender before you cook it. So you've got to get it down. And it's like climbing a mountain. There's a point you're climbing this mountain. When you reach the peak, it's perfect. But man, you fall off that edge, it's runt at that point in time. So it's a dance, no question about that. So chicken would be the toughest thing. Most people would probably say brisket, but the reality is briskets and butts. Those are low and slow, and every butt's the easiest thing to cook. But briskets, we made a habit of, we didn't just go to a competition to compete. We went there to display our smokers, to cook tons of meat. And when I say tons of meat, by the 1992-93 time frame, I'd be cooking not 1 or 2 briskets, but 10 or 12 briskets. And I'd be cooking 10 or 12 butts and 20 or 30 slabs of ribs and piles of chicken. And the reason we did that's that we wanted to feed everybody too. We wanted to save the best for the competition, but we wanted to feed tons of people as well, because that's how you sell smokers.
Yep.
So we absolutely did that. Now, I will tell you that briskets are the most unique thing ever. You can cook 10 briskets exactly the same way. They can be the same weight, cook them the same temperature, every one of them's different.
Oh,
Everyone.
Yeah.
And you got to taste every one of them. So we'd cut a center cut out of every brisket. I'd take one taste of it and spit it out. You don't want to eat too much, when you're doing in the heat of competition. But
10 briskets, all 10 taste the same. I'm sorry, they all look the same. They don't taste the same, and they don't look the same. It's the most infuriating thing that I go through when we're cooking competition, because we're so select on like how much the rub we're using, what is our method, what time we start. The humidity outside could be a difference on how your meat cooks or anything else.
no doubt about it.
But I love the fact that you were telling us that you showed up and you're like, look, I'm here to sell barbecue pits. Winning is second for me, but winning really is going to be selling all these units over here. And then you're like, hey, I'm not cooking one brisket. I'm cooking 10 briskets. I'm cooking a whole barbecue pit full of chickens. And we just got through doing at the local. We live here in Pearland, Texas, but we're helping out the city. It was the
Rotary Club, the Ice Club.
Yeah, the Lions Club, the Rotary Club, and we did a volunteer cook. We cooked close to 320
leg quarters.
Leg quarters. And, man, 320 leg quarters on a 500-gallon smoker, it fills it up. I mean, it fills it up. So I was the pictures we got just off of that alone was like, oh my God, that's so much meat on one barbecue pit. So I could not agree more. People see good food coming off a barbecue pit and they're like, I got to have that barbecue pit.
Right.
I want that barbecue pit. So,
All right, so I feel like we snuck a little tip out of you as far as the chicken goes. I mean, you have to cook chicken hot. I love the analogy. I love the phrase that you put out there. If it's already tender, you need to cook it hot and quick to avoid it from being like just dried out and tough, and vice versa. If you're doing brisket or pork butt, some of these other meats, you need to start cooking just a little bit lower, a little bit slower. When you talk about lower slow, are you on that mindset of like 225, or are we talking about like maybe 275?
I'm a 275 guy.
I love this.
Yes.
I feel like this guy's right up our wheelhouse right now.
I know it. 275.
Think about it. If you were in your house and set the oven at 275, they'd go, what the hell can you cook at 275? That's low, But I've talked to so many teams over the years that were cooking it, some of them 190 and some of them 225. I'm going, oh my gosh. If you're a true stick burner, they could have creosote dripping off of it by that point in time. It's coming off. So 275 is a real sweet spot with the right cooker. And you nailed it, boy. Humidity has an effect on cooking. The outdoor temperature. I love hot cook-offs. Some of the best meat I've ever pulled off of the grill was when it was 100 degrees outside.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd have to have a towel wrapped around your head, but man, there's something magic about those hot days in barbecue.
I could not agree more. But here's the deal. In a competition where the temperature drops down to 60 degrees or 50 degrees at nighttime, and you're putting it on at, let's say 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning, those things will ruin us because sometimes we're not prepared for how much longer that cook's going to go versus if it's 85 degrees. Here we're in the Houston area, so heck, it's nothing to be. It can be 90 degrees at 10 o'clock at night. So it's.
I've been to a few of those Houston rodeos.
Man, I'm telling you what, it'll change your life there.
Sultry.
Yeah, sultry is a great word for it. And
my favorite Houston story.
Yes.
One time we went down there and man, we've been cooking for like days, and you're sponsored by some oil company or something, and you're entertaining, you're cooking for them. And I'd been over there, and this is, I don't remember if this was 94, 95, something like that. And they had some like Barney drinks. They were pink, purple drinks that had who knows what kind of alcohol in them, and beers everywhere. And we had cooked and right the day before the morning up that we'd be doing turn-ins, I said, man, I've got to go across the street. There was a Hilton across the street. So I jumped in my truck and went over there to take a shower. And the minute I pulled up to the front of the room, a cop pulled up there and he said, Mr. Davidson, once he got my license, and he said, have you been drinking? I said, of course. I'm at the rodeo cook-off up there. Of course I've been drinking. He said, would you care to guess how many you've been drinking? And I said, well, in terms of beers, I don't know, maybe a couple of hundred. He said, are you serious? I said, absolutely, I'm serious. I wouldn't say it if I wasn't serious. He says, I've never had anyone tell me that before. So if I let you go, do you promise you'll walk back across the street instead of driving over here? I said, I absolutely will. But that was the closest I've ever come to getting ponytail and
Hey, it's a couple hundred. Oh, I think the famous line is always a couple of beers. Any guy that tells you they had a couple of beers, well, then obviously he's had more than that. But a couple of hundred, obviously
that's a lot of beer. That's
holy shit.
Yeah, I've had all the beers.
Yeah,
every single one of them.
Yeah, they're out of beer. That's why I left.
It's better to be honest. Honesty pays off every time.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. So I know you've had some restaurants in the past, and I don't know. Are you still running some restaurants now?
Yeah, we've got 4 in the Tulsa metro area and 1 up in Omaha, Nebraska.
Nice.
And there's still 3 Joe's Kansas Cities that my original partner in the restaurant business. They were Oklahoma Joe's until 2014, and then went through a rebranding called Joe's Kansas City that are up there. And they kill it in Kansas City as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember reading about that place too. So our guy Matt here, he got an Oklahoma Joe's probably about 2 months ago, and I had never messed with them before. I was really impressed with the quality on y'all smokers. Like, for the price point especially, you can't hardly beat these things. They're amazing.
I would say for the money you spend, the value you get is extraordinary. There's no question about that. The function is right. We're not only, and there's the great thing about Oklahoma Joe's smokers is that there's a type and a model for everyone. Whether you're a charcoal griller, you want to be just a traditional stick burner that flows through. There's reverse flows. There's drum cookers now that we've got, and then I'm pretty excited about the new pellet grills that we're manufacturing as well. They're spectacular. I haven't used my gas grill in the past year and a half because of the pellet units.
And that's something that I've been telling these guys here, that I read an article a while back talking about these pellet grills, on how it's reshaping how people grill or cook in the backyard, especially with people that live busy lifestyles. They get home, it's just very easy and convenient for them just to fire it up, and then you have a nice wood smoky grill ready to go in like minutes, and you can throw your chicken on, you can throw your steak, whatever you're wanting to cook that, and you don't have to worry about lighting the charcoal up, getting the wood going. So an article went on to go to say is like they expect the pellet grill to really just take over the gas grill in the future, and I think we're starting to see it now.
I would agree with that. I always felt like, and I've known it for years, the pellet grills were spectacular from the ease of use, the product they put off, their abilities to slow smoke, but also to grill as well. But the challenge was that, man, you run out of pellets, and there's not a specialty dealer that handles pellets that's open. It's not like you're going to run down the corner convenience store and get some pellets, or
right.
Go to Lowe's, Home Depot, or somewhere and get extra ones. But now you can. So it's changing the way that people have an opportunity to cook, to smoke, to grill, and boy, they're so versatile. And now, especially like our units that have that sear zone, that if you want to cook a steak at 700 degrees, like you would get off of charcoal, a true sear, you can get it, and then if you want to slow it, click it over to smoke zone, and it's cooking very evenly, but gives you a lot of versatility, and the ease of use is spectacular, and so many different flavors of pellets available that give you just a a wide array, a rainbow of flavors is what it boils down to.
Yeah, we're a big proponent of. I mean, we love stick burners, we love pellet grills, we love our charcoal grills and gas grills.
Well, I think what you're going to see at gas grill, the only thing you're going to see at gas grill for is for the Blackstones,
flat tops,
the flat tops, right? The flat top grills. The gas is really evenly cooking and whatever else, but I mean, I think sooner or later, before they're going to figure out a way to do pellet with that. There's something to do with lighting something and having smoke versus a propane
just a
gas cylinder.
Right.
Yeah,
No flavor.
Does Oklahoma Joe have a flat top?
No, we don't right now. We don't now. I will tell you that I use griddles inside my pellet unit all the time. Now we do have, the wok insert in the center, the thin pan insert in the center that act as a flat top. Okay, but man, you can also grab a big flat top griddle and stick it in there, especially over that top, and you can sear as hot as you want to. And I've been a proponent when I cook steaks. Man, if you can put wood and a griddle together, oh my gosh, you talk about the perfect seared steak.
I know
it's crazy, So I wouldn't be surprised to see something within the next year or so to where we've got it to where they work not only with the pellet units but with the charcoal units as well.
That's very cool.
That'd be awesome,
man. That's very cool. I love the fact that, well, obviously you're in a position to where, I mean, you see where the market's kind of going. You're seeing what people are really talking about, and there's so many different tools to use. I mean, even using YouTube and TikTok, and you see what people are really driving, like what they're really wanting to use, and to be on the cutting edge of like, hey, we can offer these two models in the same thing. We can put a smoker with a gas grill, or an offset smoker with a flat top or whatever else. That's very cool.
Absolutely.
That's very cool.
It's a versatility. Especially when you start making these combo units, it gives people the opportunity to have one unit that gives you every option of outdoor cooking right there with you.
Right.
Yeah. And talk about, from my own personal experience, the versatility. My oven took a dump this week, so to put it,
it's not the good way to talk about your wife,
right?
Come on.
So,
but she was in the process of putting down a dump cake, so she was cooking a cake. So I was like, well, okay, let's just throw it on the Traeger. We had a pellet grill, so let's just throw it on the pellet grill, and we put it on there. It came out phenomenal. It was great.
Yeah.
And then later on, I was like, okay, I'm going to fire up the pellet grill again. We were doing spaghetti, and we needed to do some little garlic bread. Came out great. Yep. They actually said it came out better than what it was in the oven. It was more crispy, more crunchy. I was
so what you're saying, you just need to abandon the stove inside the house, go buy some pellet grills. That's all you need.
Exactly.
That's all you need.
That's all you need.
One of the first things I cooked on my Oklahoma Joe when I got it was a apple pie. So it was the first time I ever tried an apple pie. Did it on there, and it came out great. It had a nice little smoky flavor to it.
That's nice.
That's the cool thing about the pellet units is that it's very mild. The smoke flavor that comes through that, they're so clean burning, very few ashes, and keep in mind there's an unbelievable amount of convection currents that run through that. So what bakers love are convection ovens. Well, this is a wood burning convection oven. That's what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Nice. That's right. Yeah, Matt. So Matt, you had is yours now? What is yours now?
It's the Oklahoma Joe.
Oklahoma. So Joe.
I think it's the Highland.
The Highland.
It's funny. Yeah. I spent so much time. Spent 3 months, going to all the different stores and checking out all the ones. I finally picked out this one I wanted. I can't remember the name of it. It was one of the Oklahoma Joe. I'm like, this is the one I want. And I go to Lowe's and we don't carry that model anymore. I was like, damn it. All right, okay. Well, my backup was the Highland one, so I went with that one. But when I got it home and I put it together, I love it. First of all, it's so much better than what I had before. when you shut the door, it actually fits into the seam, like where it's
the way it's supposed to work.
There's not just like smoke leaking out all over the place from the thing, you know, and it's not as like rickety as my old one used to be. And then I like all the other nice little features, like it came with grates to put in the bottom of the pit. You know what I mean? Like,
so if you want to use it for charcoal,
exactly. And on the same side, on the burner, on that side, the firebox side, it came with like extra grates to put at the bottom of that thing too. So it's like you got like low level grates and high grates and
nice.
I don't know.
That's great.
I like
nice.
it's great.
That is nice, Joe. I have a question. It may come from me personally, but I think there's a lot of people asking out there. Do you think your product would have sold more if it was Texas, Joe?
You know, that's a good question.
But
My
he's from
family
Oklahoma.
had an opportunity to live down in Texas for 3 years, you know, and we lived down in Spring Branch, which is hill country, just a little north of San Antonio, between there and Austin. And I was a tourist for 3 years. I absolutely loved it. I love hill country barbecue. I love the atmosphere down there. People are so proud in Texas, and it's a celebration all over the place. It's the happiest state in the land. I mean, in America, there's no question about it. It's hard to beat Texas, but the reality is that, to me, it will always be Baja, Oklahoma.
There it is.
Okay,
I love it.
I can't help it. I'm an Okie.
I love it. Hey,
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. My grandmother was a Sooner, so it's all right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a couple guys sitting around us. One's from California. One's actually from Alaska, which is kind of weird. So
I tell you what, it was a rough day on Saturdays with OU playing. You didn't really talk a whole lot, and staying with our grandmother. You didn't say really a word. If you got too loud and she couldn't watch the game, you were automatically outside. So you were like, don't mess around right now. So it was a big deal in our household growing up.
Absolutely. I mean, it's to us in Texas, football, politics, and religion are right up there in the top. You know,
Friday nights, all on Friday nights, usually.
All right, so we had one of our listeners catch wind that you had on tonight, and they had a question for you. And this question, I'm just going to read it because it doesn't make any sense to me. Hopefully it makes sense to you. He said, ask Joe if he remembers the Wormy Dog or Calvin's Beer Barn in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
of course I do. So, though, the Wormy Dog was a bar, you know.
Nice.
Stillwater. And the beer barn was the first drive-through beer barn that they had down there on the Strip. So those are two iconic locations there. Stillwater's famous for some of the things that went on. We during the 70s we had Streakers Night, which kind of went by the wayside by 1980 or so. But that was famous down there. Eskimo Joe's is absolutely famous down there as well.
Yeah.
It was interesting. One of my best friends I was a graduate assistant with, Randy Taylor. He was best friends with a young musician. His name was Garth, and they would always say, "Hey, you want to come down and go to Willie's? It's another bar down there, and watch us, and then we're going to write songs after their sets." And I'd be like, I'm married, fellas. I can't go out and do this. Well, obviously, Garth and has went on to set many records over the years, and Randy, being the songwriter he is a professor with a PhD at Oklahoma State University. But I think he loves that mailbox money too for that songwriting too.
I would imagine he would. Yeah. Heck yeah. Holy crap.
Awesome. I'm glad you knew what he was talking about, because I didn't have a clue. And he actually did have one more question. This is from Cobalt 242. I wasn't going to ask this question if you didn't know what I was talking about with the last one. He said, ask Joe about the Testicle Festival at the Tumbleweed in Stillwater. Is that ringing any bells?
I was going to bring up the Tumbleweed earlier because I've actually been there. So yeah,
it was the other part I was worried about, the Testicle Festival. I don't know what that means.
Oh man, that is something that it's iconic in Stillwater. As you Texans as well, we all love calf fries, mountain oysters, etc. We cooked them at most of the cook-offs we went to for years and years. Well, they would literally gather up tons of calf balls, bull balls, etc., slice them up, fry them, and it would be one of the largest events at the Tumbleweed every year in Stillwater, Oklahoma. So absolutely, if you're a fan of fried fish, go ahead and try some calf fries. You're gonna love them.
Oh man, yeah, it's like a perfectly fried chicken fried steak. You know, oh yeah, what's phenomenal?
No doubt about it.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Oh yeah, it's truthfully, you don't really see that much down here. I think if I had a restaurant or something, I think I would definitely throw that on the menu or something. Like, this is what we're having. I don't know. I don't. You go to a restaurant, nobody order. You don't see that anywhere. I've got up northern Texas, Oklahoma. I bet you do see it somewhere.
Yeah, not down here.
You do. One of my favorite things you hear about, obviously, calf fries and lamb fries. One of my favorite things is actually turkey fries. And when we do them for specials, my wife coined them gobble balls.
There it is.
That is awesome. That is awesome, actually.
Extra gravy.
Yes. Please send some extra gravy with the gobble balls.
Very cool.
That is awesome.
That is very cool. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. It's funny you even brought this up because we were just talking about calf fries. We did a intro earlier, live on one of our social medias, and we actually brought that up. Somebody asked us, what is the weirdest thing that you've ever eaten, and I started thinking about it. I was like, well, I think I've had rattlesnake before, and I've had gator, and I've had this, and I was like, I've had calf fries, and then nobody really said anything on the live. They were like, I don't know what that is or what. Yeah. So no, we definitely grew up around that. So that's very cool.
So Joe, what's your most favorite pit that you ever built or been around, or something that you have a hand in, or anything like? What's your most favorite?
Okay, so I built a pit one time. I had a buying metal from a lot of different places, and I had a guy from Borg Steel in Tulsa, Oklahoma, call me. But our plant opened in Perry, Oklahoma. That's where we started manufacturing the smokers. And that was literally going from the little garage, my garage at my house, to a little shed, to a little old automotive shop on the square of Perry, Oklahoma. And about that time, I think it was 1988, a guy called me and says, the Tulsa Zoo is getting a new kiddie train, and they're junking out this train. And I think it'd make a great looking smoker. And I mean, this is one I rode in the 60s. So I hauled ass over there, loaded that thing up, and brought it back over. And we built, that was called Mohawk Park, the zoo is. And we built the Mohawk Express. And that was my first custom walk-on smoker rig for competition ever. And, we loaded, it's still mounted on tracks. You can see where it went around the tracks hundreds and thousands of times, the wear in that cast iron wheels of it. It is the coolest smoker you'll ever see. It's really, really cool. And it's a true walk-on rig. It's got a roof over it, ceiling fans, etc. But that was the funnest cooker we ever built.
We're seeing pictures of it right now.
Is that on your website?
Yeah, as you're talking, yeah.
Yeah.
That thing is cool.
It is cool,
Very
man.
cool.
So at Austin, at the cook-off down there, I've still got the trophy right here. Let me see what it says.
First place, probably.
I love it. He's in his trophy room right now. Jesus, I just want to hang out with you so bad.
It was the Austin. What was this? Austin Travis County Livestock Expo Cook-Off, 1993 barbecue cook-off, most elaborate rig.
Most elaborate rig.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
And if for an Okie you go down there and win that, that's something.
Oh, no doubt, man, no doubt. Because we've been part of cook-offs where just hospitality, wins you stuff. You know what I mean? So it's just being proud of anything that you're doing. So what are your what are your next ambitions, man? Where are you going from here?
That's a great question. We're really focusing on our restaurant business right now. Obviously, there's great opportunities in that the last year has kind of taken the wind out of our sails because it's crippled restaurants all over the United States and the world for that matter. But we're really looking at what's the next opportunity there. In the smoker world, obviously, that's an area that's going to continue to grow and give opportunities for us to bring joy and product to people all over the world. And so we're excited about that. I've dabbled in corporate team building where we do Joe Davidson's grill camp. And we've traveled all over the world, and I base that on competition barbecue. And what it boils down to is we'll bring a group of people. It can be anywhere from 100 to 3,000 people. That's the biggest one I've ever done. That we bring them into a classroom setting. We give them an intensive 1-hour competition barbecue class. Then we split them up into teams of 6. Give them all a role, whether it be the chief cook, the keeper of the fire, the garnish guru, etc. And we give them all a grill, a tent, cutting boards, tables, chairs, the whole bit. And they go out and they've got an hour and a half to get the first thing. And they're really more grilling than they are true barbecuing. But hour and a half till the first turn in, 30 minutes later, the next turn in, 30 minutes, the next turn in. And we do a true full-blown cook-off. And these guys in the corporate world, these type A personalities, they're ferocious. They love to win. They want to win. And they bring in some turn-ins that are quite spectacular. And then at the end of it, obviously we have an afterglow party, an awards ceremony, and it is so much fun. It's really rewarding to us and the people that we work with, learn a lot, and it brings teams together, and it's a lot of fun. So we really, and my team enjoys that. I enjoy that. And we've done them in Banff, Alberta, Canada, and California, and Hawaii, Nassau. The furthest one we've ever done was in Mauritius, and that was quite. You go to Madagascar and fly 2 hours further into the Indian Ocean, and that's Mauritius. So it's been an unbelievable journey for us getting to do that as well.
Man,
so
yeah. I wish my company would have done that instead of the outdoor maze that they took us to for our team building exercise.
Yeah, that and Trust Falls, right?
Trust Falls.
That never works.
Team bowling.
Oh man, that is phenomenal. I am like,
right.
I'm gonna start looking on your website right now. Like, are y'all hiring? That is so.
Could you contact my company, please?
Yeah, John works for Southwest. They're definitely into this.
Yeah.
I work for an API company we're probably 25,000 people employed company or whatever.
Well, you're our target audience for that.
Sure. Yeah. No. I definitely. We do a lot with all of that. So seriously, if you look up an API company or API group, they are definitely doing this or would definitely be interested in this. So that's very cool.
Absolutely. Well, besides that, and I don't have any political aspirations whatsoever, I'm pleased to say. So that's something that I'll leave that to the experts.
Sure. Well,
there's none of us here. We are no experts on political stuff.
That's subjective.
So, yeah.
Those guys aren't experts. Hey, listen, we really appreciate you joining us. I've got one question that we kind of ask everyone, and it's the barbecue fail, right? So do you have any memorable barbecue fails that you'd like to just share? Like, and again, like if you're not failing, you're not learning. So do you got any good barbecue fails you want to tell us?
I've got a spectacular fail.
I knew it. He was going to have a good one. Yeah, you knew he was going to have a good one.
Everyone does. I think that's it. And the more spectacular, the more opportunity there is to
absolutely
make great out of it. One time we were at the Oklahoma State Championship. I think it was 91 or 92, something like that, a long time ago. And our team was quite famous for, we were not only spectacular barbecue cookers, we were all great friends. We went there to have a party, to have fun, to sell smokers, and just to, back then, really the cook-off community, it was a band of brothers. We all came together and rejoiced in every reunion that we had. And I think it's still somewhat that, but as it becomes a bigger business and more, and the prize money increases, it changes things a little bit over time. But back then it was spectacular. Well, a team came up, and we all enjoyed an occasional drink back then, and would play Stevie Ray Vaughan as loud as it would play, and giant speakers, and had laser lights, and have just want to entertain a bunch of people. Well, he came up, and I'd never had what they call mezcal. I'd had tequila, but not mezcal. So he says, it's just like tequila. And he says, take a couple of shots. And we all took horns off of this mezcal bottle that had the worm in it, And we like you were talking earlier, we put briskets on at 2 a.m. You got to put briskets on at 2 a.m. Well, we woke up at 7 a.m. and we had not put on butts or briskets at that time. I was going, what the hell happened? I think someone drugged us, actually. And I think that's what happened. Well, at that point in time, I'd had a buddy of mine. His name was Danny Head, the founder of Head Country Barbecue Sauce. And Danny and his team had always cooked unbelievably hot. I'm talking, they'd show up at 6 a.m. and cook at 450 degrees. That's how hot they cook everything. So I was like, okay, we're going to have to pull a Danny Head on this, but I'm going to put a twist to it. So we did, and I cut it down to a flat, the briskets. The butts were just butts. We cooked them really hot and fast, but I cut it down to a flat, seasoned it, put it on the smoker at 425 degrees. And 3 hours later, I took that, and went ahead and started an au jus pan so we could braise it kind of like a pot roast. And we put that into the au jus, covered it, put it right next to the firebox, and we boiled that brisket in that au jus for nearly 2 hours. And we pulled it out, and I was like, man, this looks killer, And then we put a little sauce on it, seared it to firm it up some. And when I sliced into that, it was like, holy cow, the smoke ring is nearly touching itself from each side. I'd never seen anything like that. and we sliced that up, turned it in, and I'll be damned if we didn't not only take first place in brisket, but won the Oklahoma State Championship after a night of mezcal.
Jeez.
So
I love this.
Fail, and
that's a win. Barbecue fail and win all in one.
That's a win. We said fail.
Right. No, think about it. Like, can you imagine scrambling like that? Like 7 in the morning, wake up, we're like, okay, well, I guess we're not turning brisket in.
Just pack your shit. We're leaving.
Most people would quit right then.
I can imagine those that first 30 minutes. As soon as you wake up, after 7 o'clock. It's got to be the most horrible time of your life.
Oh yeah.
My head felt like that too. So it was horrible, but at the end of it, there was a lot of hooting and hollering going on.
That is amazing.
That's great.
And we continued to do that recipe after that quite often. I'm more of a packer trim that's been cut down a little bit, for competition. But man, as a matter of fact, a good buddy of mine, Jeff Staney, that my original partner at Oklahoma Joe's Restaurants, he was another champion barbecuer. He was going to go to the Don Strange Ranch down in San Antonio, Texas, to the World Brisket Cook-Off. And I told him, I said, I'll bet you $100 if you'll cook my recipe too, it'll beat your recipe. He was like, there's no way that's going to happen. So he went down there, met a buddy of mine that had an Oklahoma Joe's trailer smoker. They went out there to the ranch, cooked this cook-off, and lo and behold, his recipe won Reserve Grand at that event, and he was walking away, and I'll be damned if he didn't win Grand Champion with my recipe, and I won $100 from it. It was the best money I've ever won in my life.
I love it.
That is fantastic.
I freaking love that.
These are the stories. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, yeah. That's super freaking cool.
We still have, I've always said, at a competition, especially with Jeff, that I don't care if I come in second to last as long as he's last place.
You got to beat Jeff. You got to beat Jeff.
That's right.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
I'm telling you right now, so we're all neighbors, and James and I here on the podcast, we're twins. People want us to think that maybe James and John are twins. They're not. They're not even related.
No.
But James and I are twins, and we're fortunate to move into a neighborhood that have these other guys that want to hang out and, of course, drink beer, right? Let's be honest. But have a love for barbecue. But I'm not going to lie to you. If we were in a competition, I just want to beat every one of these guys. It doesn't matter if I'm fifth to last or fourth to last, as long as they are third and whatever else. So
not first.
Yeah,
not first. Yeah.
The better the friend, the more you want to beat them.
That's right.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
True.
Let a stranger beat you all day.
What about the father-in-law, Joe? Because I have to deal with that sometimes too.
Oh my gosh, I've never had to deal with that. My father-in-law was not a great barbecuer, thank goodness. So I never had to live through that.
Alden's father-in-law is a competition.
He's on a different barbecue team,
cook team, and he's his own team. He's a avid barbecue smoker.
He's a great cook.
He is.
He's a great cook. He's a great cook.
But it's different now than what it was even 20 years ago. Like 20 years ago, and you can go back further, Joe. But the cooking, it's now like a business. Now it's like it's so regimented. It used to be about a party, and you got together with your friends, and you cook some meat, and you were trying to win. It wasn't like you weren't trying to win or anything else, but at the same time. But now it is.
There's more at stake.
It's very much like a business now. So it's a whole lot different.
It is different, and I miss the good old days. I really do. There's no doubt about that. But it like everything as it evolves. I always said that barbecue competition someday would be bigger than bass fishing. I think we might have hit that point by now.
I don't know. I like bass fishing though.
Yeah, I think you're right because just Netflix alone and the series, the TV series that they're coming out with, the competition series and the barbecue channels everywhere. I mean, I think you're right. I think it's overtaken. I mean, that the barbecue as a sport has really just like taken hold of America.
Especially, I mean, think about it, Texas, Joe. I mean, I think, and they're offering these in high school now. So now you can also go take this as an elective, as a barbecue class. Right. They do. I mean, that's awesome, right?
Yeah, build smokers.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. No doubt about that. Well, that's kind of a dream come true for me, and I love that aspect of it. No doubt about that. And it's something that we've all, when you love barbecue, it's a passion in your life. It brings you joy. It brings people together, and it's something that families can do together, friends can do together. There's not another sport like that. That's the reason it's there, and it's purely American as well. This is an American sport, and it's I've been to Europe at events and other countries for events, but it's nothing like traveling America and doing competitions.
Yeah, no, as Jan says, I couldn't agree more. Hey, Joe, we definitely appreciate you coming on here and sharing the stories, the knowledge, the tips, and talking a little bit about Oklahoma Joe's and the barbecue restaurant and the competition barbecue. We definitely appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to do this. We really did enjoy it, and thank you.
We need to do this again.
I could not even I
agree 100%.
I feel like it's been 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been doing this 10 minutes only. I'm looking around oh my God. I could not. I was so excited to talk to you and just hear what you had to say.
Yeah, no doubt.
So
I mean, we've been giddy all week. I mean,
yeah, for real. So
that's what we would do, one podcast a week, and we've been waiting on you, Joe. So
we definitely appreciate it,
man. Thank you.
Well, it's been a pleasure to visit with you guys tonight, and if I can ever do anything for you, just let me know.
We'll do, bud.
Yeah, Joe. So if the people wanted to get a hold of you or wanted to get a little more information about the smokers or the restaurant, or maybe just pick your brain as far as like cooking a brisket or whatever, where can they reach out and get a hold of you at?
The best way to get me is at my email address, and it's pretty simple. It's joe@okjoes.com.
Boom.
I love it.
Got it.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, we appreciate it, Joe.
You bet.
All right, you take care, bud.
Do some cooking this weekend, okay?
We'll
we
do
will.
it. Hey,
We
we're going to
will.
post a lot of videos, so check it out.
Absolutely, I will.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Later.
Hey, man.
That was great.
So weird. Yeah.
We've been great.
It was really great. If
See you
you
later.
quit hitting the microphone crap, I would actually love to
This
do
is
that.
true.
That was our
Was
friend.
that
That
you?
was not me.
That was you.
No,
Okay.
that was not me.
Listen, Joe Davidson.
That was
Solid
awesome. I
guy.
feel like he had like a bajillion more stories he could have told us.
No,
Oh.
I know. Here's the deal.
I tried to coax him out of a lot of them.
I
I got him.
No.
I got
Yeah,
Okay.
you got some good one. You did good.
Hey, he does. But here's the great thing. Hopefully, we have the opportunity to have him back on, like 6 months from now, a year from now, see what's changed and what's going on. Like, it was such a pleasure to be able to speak with him and really get some insight of how that worked and really what he went through in the early days for him. And, dude, it's like it's time. It's all repeating right now. There's new builders out there. There's new people out there trying to get their market and their things off the ground. Mm-hmm. This guy was such a class act. I am so ecstatic just to be able to have this night.
I mean,
so
the history, the knowledge, the stories that he has.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
From
I
the
feel like
80s.
he's got a lot
Yep.
more stories.
Yeah.
That he probably's like, I don't want to really share.
we're gonna hold back
Right,
a little
sure.
bit.
No,
Yeah.
we'll get him on again, and we'll listen him up a little more each time.
Yeah.
We'll get the stories up. But yeah,
Perfect.
this guy's putting like affordable, super quality smokers available for everyone. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, heck, Matt's got one.
He does.
I've had one.
I'm going to buy one.
Yeah, there he is. Matt, Al just bought one.
Yeah.
So Joe gave his info to his email for you guys if you want to drop him a line and any questions regarding the smokers or just cooking or the barbecue. Alden, maybe you can give the
Hey,
people
want
the
some
business.
Guys, www.
What?
All the W's.
Okay. Yep.
You water, you get in the water. I don't know. But for real, guys, you know the drill, man. I don't have to tell you guys. It's on Twitter. It's on the Facebooks, on the Instagram. It is the Grabbing the Brisket at
What? GrabbingTheBrisket.com. Perfect.
.com.
Yes.
Nailed it.
GrabbingTheBrisket.com. Go check it out. It's got everything there that you want to see.
Got the swags.
It's swag stuff.
Oh,
You want to see that.
swags.
Have all of our podcasts, the recipes we put out. And hopefully, here's the deal. I want to email.
Speaking of that, I need a shirt. Nobody's bought me a shirt yet.
Okay, well, I will buy you a shirt, Alden.
damn it.
I would like to. I'm going to email Joe, and I'm not asking for the rub or anything else, but that method that he put out, I'm going to recreate this method that he did for the hot and fast
We need to do that.
broiling.
Let's do a video of it.
Listen, I want to do this, so I want to make sure we do it correctly. So if we could just say, hey, FYI, this is what we're going to do this weekend. We'll video it. Boom.
Okay, here's a question: are we going to
Yeah.
do it on the Oklahoma Joe that Matt has?
We have to do an Oklahoma Joe.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I would say we should, but he said that he did them on the old school Oklahoma Joe, the pit, or the trailer, which I'm assuming is closer to what you guys have on your trailer.
Okay.
But
okay.
I don't know. I mean, we can do it either way.
Okay. We'll figure that part out.
Okay.
But just the method behind the madness. I want to recreate this and go for it because that sounds fire to me.
Yeah.
It sounds good.
It does. And, I mean, that dude was solid. So, anyway, so www.grabthebrisket.com, guys.
I love that.
Nailed it.
I love it. Perfect. So appreciate it, guys. Enjoyed talking barbecue with you.
Word. Thanks a lot.
Peace.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. We've been great.
Dang it, Bobby. Just grab the brisket. Or we would like to give a special thanks to FOGO Premium Hardwood Lump Charcoal, Bolner's Fiesta Spices, CoolieNation Custom Koozies, Cambro Manufacturing, YETI Cooler, the Smoke Sheep Barbecue Newsletter, and Texas Brew Hopper. We appreciate their support. Y'all guys go check them out.